Welcome to the Let It Bleed podcast, a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
And just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
We're rolling.
Damn. And like that is fucking, look at you already fucking taking a peek at my notes and like looking at shit I was going to talk about because, man.
Did you go to the Limp
week.
Bizkit concert?
I just got back from the Limp Bizkit concert actually. It was just me.
Oh,
it was just
okay.
me and just me and a bunch of juggalos.
Oh, got it.
But we had fun, man. Those juggalos party.
It sounds kind of crazy, but at the same time, it's definitely not because, for the last decade or so, that would have been like the last place anybody would have wanted to go, or, like anybody would just have laughed their ass off about a Limp Bizkit concert. And even though it still is something that probably most people would laugh at, surprisingly, it was like this crazy, I don't know if you heard about it. They just like did a $3 show recently and sold out like in like minutes. Like they sold out like super quick. I guess they had who did they have come out and play with them? I think it was I'm trying to think of who it was. I think
Kenny G.
I think Marilyn Manson might have even come out and done something with them.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, like it was just kind of like this, like they brought in all these big people to do this show. And it was $3 because, their $3 Bill Y'all album and whatnot. But, yeah.
Was it like a Limp Benefit? Like, what was that for?
For Limp Dick, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. It was just kind of this reunion tour. And it must have been just marketed well or happened to just be at the right time that they decided to come out with this. Because, like I said, it did really well, And yeah, it's just
there's a certain level of like detached irony that comes with that. Actually, I feel like that almost makes sense in a weird way, but also like
I think it totally makes sense.
Ironically, but like I know there's lots of people who are just like super down, like that is their shit.
Well, I think it makes total sense because it may not be their shit every day, but like anything people can do to take them back to a time where, things were not as crazy or as all over the place and unpredictable, like something where it was just, like back then in that time, the music for a lot of people, especially the rap rock scene, became like really just mundane and boring and shitty. But like I think now people are gravitating towards that time because it's like shit, this was before I had bills, and this was like
it was like when Monster Energy Drink got started. We're all getting introduced to Kid Rock. Like fuck, man. Like yeah. I dare you to point to a better time in history for music.
Right. Woodstock 99, the greatest concert of all time, probably.
Oh, fuck, man.
Burning shit down.
Oh, those were good times, man. And actually, yeah, Limp Bizkit, he was on. I bring that up. Well, actually, you bring that up. I called it a segue. Because, yeah, one of the things I had to talk about this week was, do you know about this Lil Nas X dude?
What?
Dude who... there's this dude, Lil Nas X, that made a country trap song, and it went to number 1 on the country charts on Billboard. And then they went then they took it down. They actually took it all back and denied him all his shit because country people were like, nah, this isn't real country. Like, it's not real country. And then they fucking took it off the boards. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of fucked up, And I was like, it's funny at first hearing about this and listen to that song and stuff like that. And you're just like, whoa, it's kind of a trip. And then people are like, yeah, but there's a long history of this. They're like, hey, they let Taylor Swift on the country charts, and they're clearly making pop songs. Like, there's a lot of genre bending ones that make it up there. So why is this one not okay? And a lot of people were like, well, is it because he's black? And the answer is probably yeah. And it was so
he's a black
interesting
guy?
topic of conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like
Well, I don't know, man. They love fucking Darius Rucker and shit. So
Yeah, no. Like it's a weird thing, and that it's like it's not. It's one of those things where I'm not sure if it's like explicitly or like super explicitly that fuck. I don't know like how I'm quite trying to articulate this, but it might be a thing where it's like, oh, they see the outside. Like I don't think it's like a like acknowledged thing, you know. I don't think it's like a out and out thing like that. And it's probably many people are theorizing that it's like country like high up people in like the country industry kind of putting pressure on Billboard to actually take that back. But like, you know, that argument holds more water if they had actually just denied the song from ever hitting the charts in the first place. If they said, oh, this is not a country song. Like to decide after the fact, after it gets really popular, like that's the part that people say is fucked up. Because that, you know, affects the kid's money and everything like that and like the way he's going about doing things. And so it's been like an interesting story. Not like the, you know, craziest one of the week. And I don't really feel that strongly about it. And the song, or at least the original song, is fucking terrible. But
well, you just
really
said
bad.
a country trap song. First of all, two genres that are just, I mean, terrible. Like when I don't get me wrong, like country music, if you're talking about the classic stuff like Hank Williams Sr. or, you know, like Waylon Jennings and people
there's
like,
a lot of fantastic country out there.
yeah, there's like, it's like
And
soulful
people who are like,
music.
oh, I don't like country. I'm like, okay,
Right.
well, you don't like appreciate music then because
Right,
you can't
right.
just dismiss the genre as a whole as a bunch
Right.
of like, you know, truck songs. Like,
There's a
those are
difference
but, like,
between country, real country music, and what is considered country now, what I would call Nashville pop. You know, it's like just straight, like very, it's all the same, you know, and like overproduced country with like the same predictable lines and the voices are boring. There's no like real grit to it. There's no bluesy like soulful aspect. Because when you listen to like an old Hank Williams Sr. song, like you could just, you know, you kind of get that same sense that you would with
that
the
shit
blue.
isn't sponsored by Dodge, you know?
Yeah, you know, you get that same sense you would by listening to a real Delta blues song or something when somebody's just like, you know, singing their heart out and showing their sorrow. But then you and you know you got people that went through the 90s and that wrote some good songs, and I would say probably like Garth Brooks with like Friends in Low Places might be like the last place where I would be like, okay, that's a country song I kind of like. And then after that, it's, you know, you got your like Toby Keith and Keith Urbans and Keith whoever the fuck. There's like a billion Keiths and all these fucking people, right? And then they came up with that honky tonk badonka-donk song, which is just like ridiculous as fuck. I remember they used to play that all the time at like in Cahoots or other line
it's
dancing
so corny.
bars.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that was my whole like everything I know about country was from like the year that I went to In Cahoots.
Yeah, exactly. That year you go because, you know, like you don't really have anywhere else to go and all your friends go to this thing, and I would just go with them and stand by the bar, and, you know, like I knew a lot of people and it was fun, but it just,
oh man, no, it is fun. I love the line dancing and shit like that. Like
really?
I had legitimately like good time with that shit.
yeah,
But you know, and
yeah.
there's a lot of it that's good. There's a lot of it that's not.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like looking back, it was a period of my life where I was developing and growing, but I could not go back to something
I was
like
like
that.
18 at the time. I would I would not go back.
Yeah. So anyway,
Man, that shit was cool. But yeah, anyways, he did a remix of the track that got pulled from the Billboard charts with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh,
and
yes. Okay, that's
fucking,
the last
like,
good country song. Don't the achy breaky
Dude,
heart.
It was actually really good. Like I actually liked it. Like after like Billy Ray Cyrus like lent his voice to it, like he like goes in the hook, and I'm just like, oh shit, like all the like that was the element it was missing to make it like a real song.
Dude, if you
And
were
so-
if you were to go to my grandma's house right now and you were to go into like the hallway closet where I think like the furnace is there, or no, there's actually like random like coats and stuff in there and blankets and stuff, you will still find like a 30-year-old Billy Ray Cyrus poster on the door in there. Like, no joke.
Oh shit.
Yeah, she was like used to be in love, and the achy breaky heart was like our family reunion jam. We'd all go out there and do like the electric slide to that song. It was crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, good
wish
times,
she wish
man.
she brought
Good
the mullet
times.
back. That guy was a stud.
Dude, yeah, he is, man. Like fucking shout out to Billy Ray Cyrus. He just a cool ass dude, man. I respect that shit, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he takes
I was
himself
like,
too
Molly, why are you
seriously.
tripping? Like, your dad's such a nice guy. Like, why you gotta go and do that to him, you know?
Is she tripping? What's she doing?
Oh, just in general, just throughout life. I'm talking about like old shit, you know.
Oh, okay. Got
And
it.
now she kind of like, you know, fell off of that shit.
Got
But
it.
anyways, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot other than this is a nice refreshing break from the craziness that has been going on with me, though it's not bad crazy necessarily. It's been busy,
Yeah.
it's been crazy. I've been ridiculously productive these last few days though, which is good. But today, oh man, it's you can't have every single day great. It's kind of like one of those things where you have 2 days that are just like phenomenally like productive, and you get you get stuff done that you're just like, I cannot believe that I did all of this stuff without and just executed perfectly. And then today, was right, like started off great. Woke up super early, went to the gym, and I had like this list in my head of all these things I was going to do when I got to work. And you get there, and then just stuff happens where you kind of have to deal with unnecessary drama that really just kind of consumes you and takes all your energy. Drama that goes along with booking things and setting things up and planning, just creative differences, or other outside parties really just not getting along and having to really choose, like basically just being put in between a rock and a hard place with like making a decision. And not going to go too much into it, but it did unfortunately consume a lot of my energy today, trying to like make it work as best as possible and trying to be fair, and it just takes away from you. So like I was glad to come home and just kind of like rest, and I still haven't like gotten some of the stuff that I needed to do finished yet, but like I said, it's good to kind of just like take a break from working constantly. Like I can't be doing that every minute of the day.
I feel you, man. I feel like our cycles are syncing or something like that, because that's exactly how I would describe my fucking week too.
Yeah.
It's just been fucking slam crazy busy, then all up until today. Except today, act of God, like my power went out for a couple hours. So that just kind of fucked up my momentum pretty hard there, because it's really hard to do my job without a computer. So there was that going on. Wow. And then I recorded, I started doing a thing where I'm making like screencasts, kind of training videos to kind of help clients and stuff out.
Uh-huh.
And I did one. It was like 20 minutes long. And then it just like I just fucked up and it got deleted like right before we jumped on just now. So I was like trying to recover that, and I just said fuck me, whatever. I'm gonna just go do this podcast then, and just get mad about it on there. Yeah, that was rough, man. And it was today was actually a fucking huge deadline because property taxes were due today.
Oh,
so yeah, that was a brutal. That has been taking up my entire fucking first, actually last like almost full year. It's been like, that's been like the thing that's like occupying my mind, because it's rough, man. Like, my property taxes were like $5,000.
Shit.
And yeah, you just gotta fucking it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
So I've been fucking eating ramen, fucking saving everything, getting ready for this shit, and I cleared the hurdle. So I'm fucking happy about that. Just fucking got everything posted yesterday.
Well, kudos to you, man.
Thank you. I can breathe a little bit. I still got to figure out how I'm going to make the mortgage this month, but hey, that's tomorrow's problem.
Well, I feel kind of bad for complaining about anything, but I've been, doing my stuff, picking up the shifts and working every, bit that I can to put my money back into all this stuff. But it's not for like an actual home that I live in. It's for like lost in the sauce and, the crazy busy few weeks coming up that I have, So like I said, April, once that is over, I'm going to have like a big, decompression, like month. I'm just going to take the time and just chill the fuck out.
I'm getting ready. I'm getting excited, man. I'm gonna let myself fucking like, okay, I earned this. I deserve this shit. Like I can, not yeah, at least relax a little bit, kind of enjoy myself and shit after that. Like next month too. That's what I'm thinking. Plus, it's my birthday, so I'm like,
Oh
getting
shit!
yeah, no, I'm getting excited about that, man.
Any big plans?
No, not really at the moment. I got
You-
a couple things that I can't talk about, but you know, I'm gonna think about something because I didn't do much last year.
You got to do the
So we'll
millennial
see.
thing and, have a birthday month or a birthday week, a full week of your birthday. Just like every
I'm
day
okay
is
with that.
another activity.
I'm okay with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I need people to like give me free drinks and shit. So,
Millennials be doing the birthday week when they're like 86 years old. They'll be like, yo, it's my birthday week. What's going on?
oh man, I'm gonna be the most extra ass grandpa of all time, man. I
Speaking
can't wait.
of extra ass people, the whole like, the whole like sloppy mess, hot mess, drunken like shit doesn't really stop when you're in your 20s or 30s, or I'm not even talking like 50s. I'm talking probably in this, I want to say late 60s or 70s. Because yesterday I had, I was serving a table. And this lady, she came in for our happy hour, and she was just chilling there, and she was like drinking her wine and kind of just like looked bougie, like looked like she,
Uh huh.
or at least looked, like I, yeah, she just looked a little bougie, but she was also very it's kind of annoying with like the happy hour and stuff, like kind of demanding like that I still serve them happy hour
Oh,
once
trust
it
me,
was
I know the
over.
type.
And so she was with her a couple of her buddies, right? So this other couple, her about her age as well. And just the way she was dressed and looking and acting. They sat in my section though for literally like 5 hours, not even joking. Sat there, and about two very generously poured glasses of wine by myself, hoping that it would kind of just leave them off my back, since I'm like serving other tables. I don't want to have to deal with them, go back to their table. I was just like, okay, here, I'm going to give them this, and let them do that. And so anyway, gets a little sauced up, makes sure to give her more water and bread and all this stuff. And by the time she's leaving, she like when it goes to have her pay, she was just like, I don't know if she was trying to like what she was trying to pull, but she was just like saying how she's just not used to paying because she's used to somebody else always paying for her. And I'm like, oh, that's great, but you're like a grown ass, like 70-something-year-old woman that came out by
Oh,
herself.
Jesus
Like better get your freaking card out or something. Like, I kind of was just like, get the hell out of here. Anyway, so she leaves, and I, didn't realize like that she must have been, drunk or whatever. So she ends up leaving, and I get a call at the restaurant about 20-30 minutes after that from the lady. She's like, hey, I was just in your restaurant. I left my hat on your table or on your chair by where I was sitting. And I was like, I knew exactly what kind of hat, like this really, really ridiculously like cheesy hat, and I was like, it's not here, there's two other people sitting at the table that she was just sitting at. And I go, I don't think we have your hat, checked it for it and everything, checked with the busser, and like, no. She's like arguing with me on the phone, yelling at me and telling me like that it's there for sure. She's like, no, I left it there. I don't have it with me. I drove all the way back to Huntington Beach and I don't have it with me. I left it there. It's there. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like trying to be just as polite as possible. Just telling her like, bitch, you're drunk. You are acting like a 16-year-old white girl, wasted girl. You were just
Dude.
ridiculous. And she, like, I was just like, I am so sorry, ma'am. I just don't know what else to tell you. And then because I said, what if, might you have left it in your car? And she said, no, it's not my car. Like just throwing all this attitude. And then, oh, I found it. Walks out of her house and finds her fucking hat. I was just like, oh my goodness. Like this is what, you can't escape this at any age, this kind of ridiculous behavior. This sloppiness.
I just wish I could bottle that up and fucking drink it, man. Like that is, I know exactly the type, and that has happened so many fucking times before.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a level of like old people need to get less confident. I'm just throwing that out there right now. Okay, I'm freestyling a little bit, but that idea just hit me. They are really confident because everybody tells them that they're smart because they're, older and wise and experienced and shit like that. But I know way too many sloppy ass people in their fucking 40s and 50s and even, 60s and 70s like that who just do and pull some dumb ass shit constantly. And you realize, oh man, you've been fucking up your whole life. And just like the world used to be easier, Like
Right.
everything, they've been playing the game on easy mode. Like we've just been born into hard mode. So we're kind of like used to how this shit's working, right?
Mm.
And they just make fools out of themselves like constantly like that, and there's a sense of entitlement that really goes along with it. It becomes the the tribalism because they got a steady diet of fucking Sean Hannity going straight to the veins. And it's like, yeah, man, I know the type. I get the most bougie fucking people at my old restaurant, and it was just a constant fucking struggle, man. And it's really nice going back now. Like I'll stop by there every once in a while and hang out, grab some food or something. And talking to people who I just did not like, ever really, and just having the full confidence to be like, oh, we can have a real conversation now, to a certain extent, but like as a person to person, And so I'm like, oh, I don't think that story about you hiding money in the fucking Cayman Islands is cute, like, and then just going on and on about like, late stage capitalism and the destruction of the social fabric that goes there, and just work. I love the people who used to come in, and this happened a lot because, I mean, you know me, man. I breathe all of this shit. I fucking am looking to have conversations about like geopolitics and economics and stuff like that, and from all these people who are, quote unquote smart, and trying to come in there and engage me on this shit, like, why I'm a fool for not thinking Trump is, delivered from God to us to save us.
Right.
And just really breaking it down and just pointing out like, okay, so we agree that he said this and you believe this and there's this. Okay, well then what about this? Like, it's almost too easy, And
Yeah.
it is aggravating, but no, I don't. I try not to approach it in like a dick way. I actually like, I've turned a lot of people on to from that era. I know I've gotten a lot of people to be like, okay, Bernie isn't that bad. That actually seems kind of reasonable. I'm like, thank you, thank you, man.
It's
it's always nice. I don't think I actually changed any minds. I don't think anybody's like, gonna go from voting for Trump to voting for Bernie or nothing like that. But for me, just to get in that arena, there's some satisfaction that I get from that.
Well, you might get a kick out of this other story of something that happened today that just drove me nuts. Like as I was saying, I have two more like things that happened today on top of like all of that drama, like afterward, as I was like, finally getting back into my work routine for the day. I'm trying to, knock out all these lists and create this like Google sheet and also write this thing for Mutate that's coming up this Saturday. And so this guy, this older,
subtle plug, I like it.
I would say that right. So I would say, probably in his early to mid 50s. Well, no, I'm probably closer to 60. Anyways, definitely a father of like someone our age. So he this time around is dressed pretty nice. He's walking into my gallery, and I already knew exactly what was going to happen with this guy because he over a year ago came into my gallery while I was working with one of my other associates and started off in this sly way of, as actually this happens quite a bit in the gallery, unfortunately. And it really aggravates me because I'm a very open person, and I like to talk, and I like to genuinely get into conversations with people. And I've gotten a lot better at spotting it. And it just really drives me nuts when people come in and they act genuinely interested and, genuinely like, enthusiastic and passionate about what you're doing and like ask you all these questions about yourself, only to basically lead into this like corner of getting you to do whatever their like pyramid scheme or like business like plan is. And so this guy, you know, because there's been several of these people who've come in here and have done this sort of thing, and I've gotten better. And most people, some are more timid than others when it comes to actually like trying to really push it. But this guy, he sucked me and this guy Tico in one time, and like just sat at her computer, like after talking to us about the art briefly. But then once he got my buddy Tico in on this like other opportunity to keep our, you know, keeping our options open, blah blah blah, starts going at it on our computers and like trying to show us this like cryptocurrency thing that he's working with, that like, you know, you sign people up, blah blah blah. And I was just like, you know, in my mind I'm like thinking, God, like get this guy out of here. But you know, my friend at the time Tico was like, this was like I said last year, you know, more like listening to him wanting to figure this out. And I'm just like, I can't deal with this. So I'm not sure if the guy didn't remember me or, you know, didn't think that I looked the same. But even just a couple weeks ago, I had seen and I recognized him. Same guy come in, and it was luckily for me just as I was like getting off and leaving my other associate there, because I knew what he was like trying to get at. Because he comes in, he's just like makes some like general vague comment about the art, like how he's interested in it, blah blah blah, and I'm just like, oh yeah, cool, and I like leave. So no, but today I'm like sitting there, oh man, it just drove me nuts. And I kind of felt bad later, because he comes in and he's like just doing that same thing, and then he'll like look at the art, and I'll be at my computer and he's expecting me to do what I should be doing and engage more in conversation with him. But I just give him really like brief answers, and I go back and looking at my computer and I'm like doing my thing. And then you could just see him like kind of planning in his head while looking at the art, his next, you know, question or next inquiry is to like, you know, lead, like coming back into finding out what I do and like, you know, what I like, if, you know, if that's what I'm going to do as a career, and asking all of those general questions, you know. And I'm just like, I kind of just gave him hard answers. And like, when you, like I said, no, this isn't, you know, all I do. And I have something else outside of this that I do.
My real passion is essential oil sales and a multi-level marketing. I mean, really, if there's one thing. It's my dream job.
Well, he was just like, because he was about to leave, and then he literally still turns around and comes back. So what I guess I really want to ask you is, if you're keeping your options open. I'm like, I'm at my wit's end. I have no time for anything else right now. Like, just straight up, like, shut him down. He's like, okay. And like walks out, and I was just like, oh man, he was just throwing off my groove, and it's just such an insult, like wasting my time. I'm already over here like upset with myself that I'm not getting stuff done the way that,
like,
you know,
turns out he was actually hitting on you or something.
No, it was just ludicrous. But then after that, so that was one where I like, you know, felt totally justified in just getting that guy out of there. Because, you know, first of all, you know, you tried to fool me once with this whole thing and tried to sign us up and made us listen to all your BS about how much money you're making. But clearly, if this is what you're doing repetitively, you're going around to the point where you don't even remember that you had already, you know, met me and talked to me, and you're coming around trying to recruit people this sort of way, like, get the F out of here. Get the I don't have any time or patience for that.
Only once, Scientology.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
not,
you know,
twice.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, after that, okay, it's still quiet, still dead. Then this other lady just comes out of nowhere and starts talking to me. And this one I felt genuinely bad about. Like, this one I felt bad, even though I did listen and I did like let her talk. I was just so like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she just kept going on and on and on and on. Like, she was just like telling me all of this stuff that had nothing to do with anything about her family and this and that, you know. And you could just tell she's like a very lonely lady. And I normally would like just talk to this person and like just, you know, entertain them the whole time. But as much as I let her talk, I was just kind of like, oh my God, lady. Like, I can't, like, there were so many opportunities for the out, like, just walk out, go get your coffee, go do what you got to do. Like, I'm busy, you know, like politely just trying to, you know, show that I got stuff to do. And she was just rambling about nonsense, you know. And oh man, I felt like a dick after that one. But that was my day today. Just
some people just like don't know when to fucking drop it, man.
Yeah, you know.
That's okay.
Well,
They're probably used to it at that point.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So,
But yo, I saw me and Bree went and saw 2 Chainz a couple days ago. That shit was dope, dude.
2 Chainz, dang.
2 Chainz, yeah, man. No, she got the tickets to see him on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh,
And dude, like that was actually like the like coolest like TV concert experience that like we've ever done or that I've ever like been a part of.
it was the weirdest thing that I'd ever done when I went to Kimmel to see Gwen Stefani.
Did you go in the studio or did you go to the outside thing?
So it was the outside thing. Did you
Oh,
guys
okay,
do
yeah,
the
that's
in
what
the
we did.
studio? Yeah.
No, we did the outside thing.
Oh, yeah. That was the weirdest thing I'd ever done, mainly because of the crowd. So I don't know if it was the same for you guys as it was for us, but we had to wait like forever in this line. That like, you know, before like going in there, you just like they just have you standing there in this kind of like Disneyland style like fashion like sidewinding line that like until they get there, you know. But the crowd for Gwen Stefani was like the most unusually like diverse crowd. It was just like everything from every different type of person, so that it was just like you just don't feel like I don't know how to put it. Like I don't know how to like word it. It was just so bizarre. Like you just, but I couldn't identify really with like anybody that was there, you know. But we saw her and it was like cool. It was super crowded and everything. But I don't know how was.
Damn, see, that was not our experience, man. We got up there. Like I think I was just in a particularly good mood because it only took like an hour to get to Hollywood. Like I was just like fucking flying down the 101 at like 45 miles an hour. It was insane. It was like. It was like they shut down the park for the day, and I got to like go on all the rides like without waiting.
That's a good reason. That's definitely something to be excited about. That doesn't happen.
Man. And so we got there like everything was smooth. Like the line, like we got there like right at when like the check-in like starts. It starts like 4:15. We got there like 4:17, and they're like, "All right, yeah, come on in." We just walked right in. There wasn't like I don't know. There was probably like 600 people or something like that. And like we were able to get like super close, like right up front. And then like they just play like a little bit of the episode. They had like the most awkward interview I've ever seen between the Avengers and Kimmel. And I was like, oh man. And then it's fun to like watch the raw video come out and then see the edited version later on. So I'm like, oh okay, they've got to edit this because this is like bad. Like they didn't even like rehearse for this shit or nothing. They didn't like do any notes. They're just like, okay, so what's up, you guys?
So they were the actual like actors, or the like were they playing
Paul
clips?
Rudd, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, and Don Cheadle, I think,
as themselves or in character?
As themselves. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
They were just out there just riffing about the movie, and I'm like, okay. Oh, and Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, okay, I can tell. Robert Downey Jr. is done talking about this franchise. And shit was kind of funny.
Does that come out this weekend?
I think it comes out not this weekend, but next weekend.
Dang, some big things coming out. That's this week.
I wanna
weekend.
check that out.
Game of Thrones on Sunday too.
That's right, son.
Dang, big weekend for things, big things. Anyways, go on.
Dude, yeah. So anyways, 2 Chainz came out. It was fucking dope. I just love 2 Chainz because he's just a big cartoon character who like is also in on how fucking ridiculous his whole like persona and everything that he's doing is. And like I don't know if you've seen his show, Most Expensivest. Have we talked about that before on the show?
I do not. I've never seen it. No.
Oh man, he's got a show on Viceland called Most Expensivest, where he just goes around trying like expensive ass shit, and he just like he hosts it, and then he's like, this is just like a big tax scheme and shit, and he's like, all right, y'all got to give me this for free and shit. And it's just like seeing him react to like all this like fancy shit is really, it's fucking funny, man. I love the show, man. We got like a trial to like Sling or something like that for a week. And I'm just like, ooh, we just got into that and just like watched all like 3 seasons of it. Okay. And then he's like a little French bulldog named Trappy. It's like the cutest little fucking thing.
Trappy.
And so like, yeah, so we got all stoked when we saw like somebody was like walking Trappy like next to the stage. We're just like, oh shit, it's Trappy. Let's get a picture. And yeah, no, it was a good fucking concert, man. And then he came out like, you know, they did a thing for Nipsey, R.I.P. And Yeah, man. It was just like a real smooth experience. Like we weren't there for more than like, I think we were there for like an hour, like including the like the actual performance. So I'm like, damn, that was nice, man. And so we just ended up going and we ended up going actually to a bar pretty close to there off of Hollywood Boulevard. And we were getting a drink and we overheard the bartender talking about Barry. Now, have you seen Barry yet?
Barry?
Yeah.
No.
On HBO?
Is it about
Oh my
Barack
God.
Obama?
No, it's Bill Hader and what's his name? Henry Winkler. And Bill Hader's like he's like an assassin who joins like an acting class and like wants to be an actor but keeps getting dragged back into like
Okay. I've
his
seen
hitman shit.
trailers for this, but I don't have HBO. I need to get on that. Yeah.
Dude, it's really good. I'll get you my login.
It's comedy, right?
Yeah. It's like super funny. And like
Okay.
the people in his acting class are they're fucking insufferable. They're exactly the kind of people that you would think are in an acting class. I'm like, I've seen these people, I know these people, and I've talked to a bunch of people who are like, oh yeah, no, I do more.
Kind of
this
like
shit,
the
and they
disaster
are
artist.
everywhere. Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Like they are just so up their own asses and like thinking you know the type,
Right.
And so I'm over there mocking him, and then so I hear the bartender's talking to the other bartender about the show, about what happened last week. And I was like, oh man. And so I chimed in. I'm like, yeah, no, like he was telling the other guy you should check it out. I'm like, you should definitely check it out. It's fucking great. And they're talking about the class. I'm like, damn, that is basically a documentary. Like how corny those fucking people are. Like I know all of them, and it's hilarious. Like watching people who like don't think that's them and it's them. And then the bartender's like, well, like I met some people like that too. It's over the top. It's over the top. Like I'm like, oh shit. And he's like, I've taken my acting classes, and I'm like, oh
He's
no,
probably one of them.
and he's like, yeah, because I was talking with a level of like, just because I love Hollywood and like that kind of shit, like I'm well versed in it, and so when they're talking about it, and I'm talking about it just as fluently, they're like, oh okay, and the guy was assuming like I was also an actor. I mean, because we're on Hollywood Boulevard having drinks at a bar, like that's not an unfair thing to assume. But I just started talking mad shit on actors. And then, like, turns out those two guys were actors, or trying to be actors. And, like, there's, like, a crowd of 3 right next to me at the bar who are also, like, all trying to be actors after hearing the conversation afterwards. I'm just like, oh, no. Oh, why didn't I think about this? I felt so bad.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, just ripping on him for, like, that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was funny. It was funny.
Yikes. Well, I mean, there
Whoops.
needs to be some sort of self-awareness, right? I mean, if they're coming out here and trying to do that, it's not, it's definitely, as I imagine, not the easiest thing at all. Like, it's kind of just like to go around and claim to be an actor and not really be working and have like anything under your belt is kind of just got to be like one of the most humiliating things. I don't know.
It's really a rife situation. Like you really gotta put yourself out there for that, And actually, I don't actually knock that. Like,
Sure,
like, go
yeah.
ahead, like, do you, man?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I appreciate that to agree, and as long as they're not like, because I know these people well, the people who get into what they think is like the mentality of an
Right,
actor, the I'm
right.
better than you kind of thing.
Right.
Before
They got their
end it.
they got the headshots, and they're the all action, no theory, or they go through all the steps that they've been told, but they don't really have like anything special or unique about them that's going to stand out.
Dude, I had somebody drop out of a like $250 gig for a commercial that we were shooting at an old agency because they couldn't identify with the character well enough. They didn't see themselves in it. And the character was like bar patron number 1. Like, okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead and fuck yourself.
Yeah. They're
Can
above
we
that.
be adults for a minute?
I thought I was doing Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Like,
Yeah, so
it's ugh. If you're really
tripping.
if you're that good, you should either be making it somewhere, like getting your name out there, or be doing it through like the way that a lot of people are doing it now, like through social media, like, you know, or how they did it with Vines and stuff like that, YouTube videos, and then getting like deals and doing things on that nature, or just, you know, like finding some sort of side hustle that would get you recognized for your talents, you know, like, I don't know, just going through the whole classic Hollywood steps where you like make your way out here and you know, get some sleazy agent who's going to, you know, get you auditions for like all this sleazy stuff, and then go around and tell people that you're, you know, that you're an actor, and, you know, like doing that thing, living off of either a trust fund or whatever you got. It's just so, I think, dated by now.
Well, yeah, no, I get it's the there's a lot of people, you know, in that sphere tend to act without any kind of level of self-awareness. And at least like, but I can't knock it because like, I mean, fuck, look at what we're doing right now. You know?
Right. Exactly.
There's a level of that here, but I acknowledge it because
Sure.
like, and so, you know, who the
I'm
fuck
not
am I to
turning-
say,
I'm
like,
not
"Ooh,
turning
I'm
down
better,"
what-
like pretend like I'm above it all. I'm not.
No,
you
but
know?
we're not turning-
I know what the fuck I'm doing.
We're not turning down a podcaster like not having someone come on the show because they're not like fucking, you know, a celebrity or something like that. It's
I'm
like,
not. Yeah, I'm not gonna be a dick about it. I'm not gonna like go around thinking I'm cool because we do this. You know, it's not inherently because of that. It's just it's got to be about a thing.
it's very interesting dealing with different personas, not just within, you know, like, I mean, I don't deal with people directly in the world of acting, but artists in general, when it comes to especially musicians, and, you know, working with a lot of DJs, like the level of divaness that comes with it, where it's like, you know, getting to understand or try to put yourself in the situation, because I am not a DJ, you know, I'm not a performer like that. So to me, obviously, it's going to be like, what's the big deal? Who cares? Who does this or who does that? But, you know, trying to understand and relate to them, because it is a very like competitive thing, even though if you're around other friends, groups of friends, like luckily our group of friends happen to be very supportive of each other, but it still doesn't matter when it comes to like set times and when it comes to gigs and stuff like that. There's just this like weird level, like where someone like myself is just kind of like, are you serious? Like, really, you're gonna be that particular or petty about this? But then you have to kind of like wonder and think like, okay, put yourself in their shoes. Like, you know, these people are all trying to like make it and stand out, but there's definitely ones that there is a spectrum, you know, of like people who are super chill, go with the flow. Like, even though they're really good, they still, you know, are open and like not as bougie or not as, you know, particular about things, or they're willing to do sets for, you know, not a ridiculous amount of money. And then there's people that are just like super undeserving of it, that demand a lot, and like doing the whole, like they're abusing the fake it till you make it thing, you know, and there's really nothing genuine or unique about them. It's kind of like going down the very cookie cutter path of like, okay, well, there's all these DJs that went to EDC or something and they spelt their name like this. I'm going to basically do that with something that doesn't really have anything to do with the sound of my music, or, you know, me in particular. It's just this kind of like, oh, I pulled this name out of a hat and that's just kind of what it's going to be. Like, you know, that's my persona, you know, that, and that doesn't just go with DJs. It goes with like bands. You see it with so many people, and it's very interesting, you know, because I don't have it all together my damn self, as you were saying, you know, but you could recognize when somebody's like real, you know, when something's like genuine, like when somebody is artistic and expressive, rather than like somebody who's just trying to be a successful DJ, or,
you know, somebody who puts their ego up front. Like, that is the product, that is the reward for the work that they're putting in, is the ego stroke. It is that, and that is when they make it so clear, like that is the front and center priority.
Yeah, or the money. I mean,
people in general have good bullshit detectors. You know, people can sniff that shit out.
Yeah. Well, actually, some people don't. That's the thing that I was getting at. A lot of people like buy into it, but it is very limited, and it's not like it's for a limited time. It's not going to last. You know, obviously, after a certain amount of time, it'll just die out because it's got nothing that's really unique or important. And so that's kind of the thing. Like, there's a lot of people out there looking to be successful and make the buck or get in the right places, but it's like they're skipping the important steps that makes a real an artist with like a career of longevity, you know, or at least something that somebody's going to leave a mark, you know. You kind of have to go through that struggle of like not having shit, and you know going about having like really embarrassing gigs, or you know, like doing just kind of like hitting rock bottom before you hit that stride and actually make it, you know. Unless you don't, how else are you going to learn, you know? How else are you going to get seasoned if you just skip all those steps and expect to go right away to this level? I don't know, that's just how I see it.
I see a surprising amount of like, you know, people and artists, and not so much like people we know, and actually not a lot of people who are like still doing it, but I've seen it throughout my day, like people who, you know, who kind of started up and then end up winding down, but they're the kind of people who just don't really have a story to tell. You know, there's not passion that's like driving like what they're doing.
Exactly.
You know?
That's what I was trying to say.
Focused, yeah, they're focused on the end product, or what they perceive as the end product,
Right.
and then just trying to bullshit their way up to that point. And that inauthenticity just it really does shine through. And those are the people who I am making fun of, because those people tend to, you know, they have more fragile egos a lot of the time too, and they end up treating people like shit because they think that they can, when like that was the thing that they wanted, not to make music and express themselves, but to do that. Right. It's kind of crazy how a lot of this you know, a lot of just the way artistry and music and all this stuff works kind of feeds into it and drives a certain kind of people. I saw this really interesting thing a few weeks ago, and they were talking about how like the nature of music being all like play based and through streaming and stuff like that is actually like the average song time is like going down a lot. And it's like a lot more like simple repetitive hooks and things like that, and just to like permeate that and to make more money for, you know, themselves and record companies and shit like that. I'm like, oh shit, I had never thought about that as a, you know, as a influencing factor for this shit. I just thought that was interesting.
So wait, like they're saying that they're to make more money, they make the song shorter?
Yeah, so like if you're on Spotify, right? And you're getting paid like per play. If you've got an album and people are gonna listen to it, they will listen to that album, that song more often, like, or on repeat if it's 2 minutes. Like you get paid the same if it's a 3.5 minute song or a 2 minute song, you know?
Right.
So if they're tearing through the whole thing in like 20 minutes, like, and they're more likely to listen to the whole thing, like that's more money in their pocket. To where if it was actually like, you know, here's how long it takes to tell the story, rather than thinking about that first, like that shit is less profitable.
Right.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It was a trip to me. Yeah.
Well, it's you know, a completely different industry than it used to be, you know, in terms of how they get paid. You know, it's really and for a while it hasn't been about the music or the songs that actually gets them paid. You know, that's like kind of just like compared to the way that, you know, people of the 80s and 90s got paid with their albums and such. Like it's really peanuts. It's more about touring and you know, merchandise and other things as to how these guys actually guys and gals, sorry, actually get make their money. You know, like the streaming thing is not really paying them all that well. So that's a kind of interesting.
It's about t-shirts, merchandising and shit.
And gigs, you know, getting gigs and touring and getting yourself out there that way. And then, you know, on top of that, you know, like just diversifying, you know, and getting into like other forms of production or acting or whatever. But
or just, you know, trying to make it big by making a weird ass country trap song and just throwing it out there, you know?
Yes.
And when somebody steps in to, you know, really just curb that, you know, that somebody actually hits it. Like it's this giant lottery that all these people are playing all the time, and somebody fucking hits it. And then to go back after the fact and say, wait, no, that didn't count. That's messed up, you know? Because those people like actually do work and shit. Yeah. I don't know anything about the guy, but that's the industry for it, man.
Yeah, very.
Well, shit, we got about 10 minutes till the top of the hour, So let's see.
Is there anything going on that from last week that people should hear about in terms of, just...
Well, there's a bunch of things that I have here. Not all of it is super important, and there's not a ton of bombshell stuff that is, super different. But there are two things that I think that are important for people to know. All right. So I'll give you the vegetables you got to eat first, and then we'll do a fun one. Okay.
Word.
So stick with me. Oh, okay. Wait, a couple rapid fire things too. Let's see. We saw the. I don't know if you saw this today, but we got the first picture of an actual black hole today.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Go ahead.
That was fucking cool, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's really incredible. I was like reading up how.
Who would have known this whole time that the people who made Armageddon fucking knew what the black hole looked like? If you look at the Armageddon fucking cover, it's basically the black hole image behind Ben Affleck and Bruce Willis.
Dude, I was surprised too. I was like, damn, like, so all of that times that I've seen like black holes portrayed in like pop culture and science fiction, like, oh, that actually I guess was at least based on some like actual research into like what they thought it was, and to see like to see the thing surrounded by the gases that get emitted from it to make it look like that, I was like, oh man, that is a trip. It's nice to like wake up and see everybody talking about something in the news that isn't utterly horrifying and devastating.
What do you mean? When that thing sucks us all up, it's going to be fucking terrifying, bro. No,
it will be. I welcome it. I welcome it with open arms.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was getting at too. But I just can't wait to see the memes or the articles or posts about from flat Earth type people about how it's like some fake imagery created by NASA to keep us lying, and it doesn't even look real, and that stuff just always brightens my day. It always makes me feel it makes me feel happy how these people like, this just looks fake, that you're gonna tell me that's real, and I'm like, bro, like, how the fuck would you know? Like, really, like, what else do you have to go off of?
Well, the only flat Earth person I've talked to for any like long period of time once told me, "Stay woke," and I was like, "Ooh, that's not how you use that." And you are way too white to be saying shit like that. But anyways,
yeah.
Ooh. All right. Oh, another fun one. I don't know. There was Don Jr. on Twitter was like he retweeted something that was saying like the Pulitzer Prize was going to the Washington Post for the reporting this year. And then Don Jr.'s like, yeah, he's right. Like, unless they get the Pulitzer Prize for fiction, haha, hashtag fake news. And then everybody's like, bro. There is a Pulitzer Prize for fiction.
Someone doesn't.
Absolute fucking dunce. So good times. That gave me a fun little laugh. Man, let's see. And then on to the deep important shit that should be troubling all of us. Kirstjen Nielsen, the secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. She is really helps implement the child separation plan that we've had going on here. She was ousted on Friday. And was it Friday? No, it was sometime recently. And she is an awful person who deserves no quarter. That is undoubted. But it really is kind of I'm starting to notice here that there's a troubling amount of like departures and firings going on right now. And I think this is becoming less of like, ooh, like everybody's saying, oh, it's chaotic, they don't know what they're doing, they're incompetent. And I'm starting to think there might be some method to this madness, because they have actually, it's like the Friday Night Massacre that was kind of occurring during Watergate. Now that was when President Nixon fired, basically all the people that are investigating him, like just the whole chain of command.
Is this about the Secret Service guy fired?
The Secret Service guy is another element to this, yeah.
Okay.
And there are a lot of people who are, just quote unquote acting, people serving in their position, which means that they are it's like, oh, this is a temporary person. It's like a stopgap emergency thing until we can get the real person in there. These people are the acting people that are doing it. But the problem is that like almost everybody in his cabinet are just acting. You know, they're you know, in very important positions, like people in Homeland Security and the Defense Department, shit like that. Like really like actual legitimately scary like foreign policy people and stuff like that. They're all in the acting stage, which means they are not confirmed by the Senate to be going in there, which means like we don't actually have a checks and balance, a check and balance with these people. And if there's just this rotating door of people coming in and out, and he's just looking for, sycophants to just do whatever he wants, which is reportedly what happened to Kirstjen Nielsen, in that like it was actually ruled on and stated like, yo, family separation is illegal. Like you cannot do that. You need to keep people together. Like you're jailing people, you're denying people asylum. That's against, like, these are like war crimes, This is like international, like these are human rights abuses by, the standards of international law. Shit that we set up, in the Nuremberg trials after World War II to make sure shit like that never happened again. And this is stuff that is, it's happening, and they're just kind of blazing on through it because there really isn't a system in place to enforce this in the short term in any like really meaningful way. Like there's no thing in there that says like, oh, if the president just nakedly shirks the law and is just breaking it in plain sight, there's nobody who's going to go and just arrest him, or stop him from doing that. They challenge it in courts and shit like that, but he's just saying, go ahead and do it. Like he was talking to ICE officers, like he was addressing like a giant group of them over the weekend, I believe. And he told them like, well, if your boss tells you like that you can't arrest these people or and throw them back out, just tell them like, hey, country's full. All right, we got to do it. Okay, sorry, it's out of our hands. We have to just throw them back out. And that is clearly that is a violation of the law as ruled on, by people recently, like months ago. They said, no, you cannot do this. And so their actual supervisor had to come in afterwards and be like, okay, yeah, don't do that because you can't. That is illegal. And so we're constantly butting up against the rule of law right now. And that should be pretty concerning for everybody because, he's really kind of forcing this, what's called a constitutional crisis, and that like there is no apparatus in the law to address the situation at hand, which means it's a step towards autocracy. And anybody who's got eyes can see like that's where he wants us to be. He wants to be a dictator. And so, I mean, even just this past week in court, man, they said on Friday that it could take up to 2 years to identify thousands of separated migrant children and reunite them with their parents, just even figure out who belongs to who. And now it is up to, well, sorry, man.
So my question is, do you think that like he really is this methodical about it, or do you? I still feel as though like even though everything you're saying is happening, I can't help but feel like he's just being dumb and arrogant and stubborn, and it is like leading to all of this. Like it's just kind of like I'm trying to think of another example, like a fictional example of this actually happening, but like it's hard for me to believe that he's actually that smart to actually go through and strategically do that.
Well, I don't think he himself is. I think the people that he is surrounding himself with are the ones who are orchestrating this stuff, and they're telling him kind of what to do and what to say, and he has blown it up. And like the reason that I feel like this is because he keeps blowing it up and saying the quiet part out loud, at every step of the way during all this shit. And so right now, like you've got Stephen Miller, who's just making all the calls at DHS, like all these clearly unqualified, nakedly racist white supremacist people who are in our government, like calling a lot of the shots here. And they're just saying no, like they're just telling the checks and balances of Congress, like, make me, that's basically what they're saying, is they're standing on one side and saying, make me. And it's, like actually today, the Secretary of the Treasury Department was supposed to release his tax returns. They were actually legally subpoenaed, like they legally have to give them the tax returns, but they didn't do it. You know, so it's like, okay, now what do they storm the Treasury Department and take them by force and make people do that? Like, nobody knows, man. This is uncharted territory. It's a superpower just to act without any sense of shame at all, just to do fucking whatever you want, and like nothing has ever tested this country like that before, and so it's they're getting ready. They're trying to reinstate large scale separation of families at the border, and he's causing, like, he is actually manufacturing the crisis by denying asylum claims illegally, making them wait in Mexico and Tijuana and these very terrible places where people are dying, and they know that they want that to happen. So they're like, people are going, okay, well, I'm gonna die if I stay here, and so they're fleeing, trying to enter into the country through a illegal port, through crossing the border in an illegal way through coyotes and through the desert, and then they're like, okay, and they're all ready to catch them all up. I know they're going, oh look, see. Like, there's a bunch of there's an immigration crisis in this country. We need to shut the whole thing down. Like, he was talking about shutting the border down. That is the dumbest fucking thing. That would destroy, like, the entire economy along the border, because people go back and forth regularly. Like, you can't fucking do that. Like, that would cost billions and billions and billions of dollars to the economy, right. And it wouldn't help anything. It's just like these ideas that he's just free associating and going through there, and it's this policy of cruelty that is just unfucking fathomable. You know?
He forgets what MAGA stands for. What it actually stands for. Because I saw this the other day. Is Mexicans always get across. It's true though. Like, it's just like, no matter what, bro, you're not gonna stop it. Like, you're not gonna be able to. It's just gonna cause chaos. But one of the things that I did hear on NPR, I think it was like today or yesterday, and it was really brief, but I could be wrong or misunderstood, but something about him trying to, or the Republicans trying to do away with affirmative action, like the laws of affirmative action, like they're trying to repeal it or something like that, like they're trying to reverse it or something, so that it is no longer obviously, like, that you don't, because it had something to do with the number of African American males in like medical schools or in certain places, and it was just like a complete, like, major disproportionate amount, and like Republicans doing something to where they were trying to get rid of it.
Well, I mean, I know I'm not super well versed in the topic. I know that they've been litigating this for forever through Harvard, and it was actually on behalf of I think it was like an Asian American coalition, because they feel like they were discriminated against, because if there's affirmative action, and which it doesn't work in that, like, there's no racial quota or like thing like that. There's general guidelines, percentages, and race can be considered as a part of an application, but it doesn't, like, it's not like you need 25 black people, like, it's not that specific.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a and so that's my I know that to be a part of it. Now, I don't know how the court case is proceeding and exactly what's getting ruled on and how it's handed down, but my understanding of it is that they're trying to do away with that, so that does not actually have to or get to be a part of the consideration. A lot of these just straight demographic pieces of a person that don't necessarily correlate to the content and quality of their character, and that, like, I get that. That's a tough conversation. But I feel like it's very often portrayed as kind of more it's portrayed by the right-wing types as something more kind of insidious than, like, it actually is in practice. And I think that a lot of them should just shut the fuck up. Because if we're going to get rid of affirmative action, then I will take that if we also get rid of legacy admissions. And we also get rid of a lot of the crony capitalism that's leading to this. Like, we just had the big, like, this giant
Scandal.
college admissions scandal. And it's rich people who are freaking the fuck out because, like, the system that they bought into, their richness, they see their, you know, what they think is owed to them slipping away because, you know, we're actually trying to enforce some level of meritocracy and acknowledging that, like, okay, yeah, no, like a lot of these, you know, people from, you know, other areas. And now, fuck, I feel like now that I'm saying this, I feel like I'm remembering some statistic about, like, what was it? Damn it. You know, I did actually read a fantastic article this week that was kind of a wrap up of what the, what I think of as, like, you know, what you actually should be taking away from the whole college admission scandal and how that actually, what it says about, you know, the culture and mindset of the rich and how they feel cheated and how entitled they are and how fucking destructive it is to all of our institutions, you know. And so that is yeah, we'll have to pick that up again at some other point. But let me see if I can actually find it here. But we are just about out of time here, and god damn it.
The one thing I wanted to say about just kind of jokingly add to about the black hole image was that a friend of mine posted saying that it looked like the Eye of Sodom. That's one thing I forgot.
Oh, fuck, it totally does.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, it's pretty ironic because I've been saying for years now, for the last few years, that it really does seem like the rise of Sodom and, you know, the orcs being assembled by Saruman and like, you know, just kind of like getting people all worked up to this point in our history or in our time, which is very, very, you know, similar to, like, you know, in a real life sense to what that is, you know, that part where, you know, the dark ages have emerged once again in this time. And, you know, we're going to have to go through some pretty major battles in order to come out, you know, with goodness prevailing. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I think that is perfectly fucking, you know, sums up everything. Like, I saw Sheldon Adelson at the fucking RNC thing or whatever this week, and he looks like a goddamn orc. So yeah, that evil fucking corrupts you, man. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it is. It's called "They Had It Coming." That's the name of the article. It's by Caitlin Flanagan from The Atlantic, and it's a fucking fantastic read. She was actually a teacher, and she was working in teaching, and then she was a college counselor, and she kind of wrote it from her perspective and seeing kind of the wave of entitlement that has kind of really, you know, infested the mindset of these people throughout the years, and why, you know, this whole episode, like, was not surprising to her. And it's really just like, I don't know, it really gave me a sense of, like, of closure after this, because I'm like, oh fuck, yes, yeah, like, all of this just, it makes so much sense. And I think that is, like, the big takeaway from it. And unfortunately, I wish I could summarize it a little bit better here. It's a pretty large article, but I recommend anybody go ahead and check that out. They Had It Coming by Caitlin Flanagan from The Atlantic. And with that, I think I am done. You got anything to promote this week?
Yeah, so, you know, this weekend, as I said last time, we are going to be doing we got a really awesome episode of Mutate. This at the Catch One, formerly known as Union. It's a really interesting one because we're visiting what is the central intelligence about what's CIAO agents for the Mutate story that we've been developing, but the central intelligence of abnormal occurrences. So it's, you know, this really fucked up secret agency, secret sort of like thing going on where they captured the Anonymous and the Mutech people on the last episode. And so the space that we're working with is much bigger, and there's going to be a museum of odd and abnormal things that's going to be really fun. Come out and check out what we've got going on. It really is like one of the most fun things I've ever been a part of. And the way that it's growing and developing, I think that, like, you know, it really can go somewhere. And so I think that you should all get out here and experience it before it gets super big. So
Damn. I feel
yeah,
like you should do one that's like it's just you at the art gallery, but you're selling like the fucked up stuff of Mutate or something.
right.
That's how I'm like kind of imagining it when you say that.
Well, you know, I'm actually, right after this, I'm going to be going and writing out some stuff for it. You know, some
Nice,
of
man.
the like, I've been writing some of the stories, and that's what's really cool. You know, you get your chance to do something that you've always wanted to do, test out your creative skills, and something that, you know, actually has a solid platform, like, you know, something that you know, gets people, you know, has exposure. So I am really excited to go do that and just have it keep going. So that's this weekend. And obviously I've been talking about this for months, and it's already here. You know, it's kind of crept up on us. Lost in the Sauce is next week, next Thursday. So yeah, literally a week from today, I will be out on site getting everything ready for the 420 weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's just nonstop music. We've got 2 stages. Psychedelic Lions Den's putting on the Lions Den stage, where we're going to have K-Tribe doing a takeover, as well as Jackson Collective. And it is, I'm all sorts of feels going into this. I've got all my energy's all mixed up because I'm just like putting everything I've got into this right now, you know, and it's stressful and a little overwhelming, but then at the same time you get those waves of just like, fuck it, you know, it's going to be great. It doesn't matter where, you know, the pressure being our first festival that we're part of is definitely there, but you know, you got to constantly remind myself, as well as the others in the group, that, you know, like, no matter what, we're going to just kill it and have fun. And once we're out there, it's going to be amazing. And, you know, some of the drama that I was talking about earlier had a little bit, it was pertaining to this festival. But, you know, now that you get it off your chest and you just have time to think about it, it's all great at the end of the day. So I'm just excited. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that for that.
Fuck yeah, rock and roll, baby.
Then next week, the very following week after I get back, is Desert Hearts, and that is just going to be pure play. You know, like nothing else to worry about other than just going and partying. So it'll be and the music itself will be a stark contrast to the heavy bass music that's going to be playing on the main stage at Lost in the Sauce. So you get that variety, you know. And yeah, that will be capping off my April month. And after that,
sounds like a plan, man.
I'm just gonna be
so
chilling
everybody,
the fuck
go
out.
check that shit out. Go check out Mutate LA this Saturday. That is some dope ass shit. Check out Lost in the Sauce. You got Desert Hearts after that, but you know we don't know them personally, so fuck it. We're not really plugging them too hard. But always make sure, like your mama said, subscribe to this show. Make sure you get it right in your ear holes every Thursday. That's through Apple Podcasts, through Stitcher, on your Spotify's. You can follow us on social media at Let It Bleedcast, with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where we post links, and I post the actual episode on Facebook and shit like that. Okay?
If you don't subscribe, your mom's gonna beat you with a chancla. Straight up, yo.
Yeah, as the old rhyme goes.
Yeah.
And you guys can always find me on Twitter for all my latest music ramblings, and me basically with my cardboard sign saying the end is nigh, at Phil at Nobody Cares, and you can flip that around at Nobody Cares Phil on Instagram. And you, sir?
Well, put that stuff with 3 Fs. Follow the Psychedelic Lions Den on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, just go ahead and keep listening. Thanks for tuning in this time. We'll catch you next week. As always, let it bleed.
And we out.